Rest in peace, Charlie. Your message will forever live on through your followers. I respect you because you died fighting for what you believe in. I think it's a lesson we could all take away from this. We will never let the flame die. You created something that will remain after your passing. That's also a goal of mine. I wanted to think this was a hoax, but then I saw the video. I cried for the first time in a very long time. I literally sat the next 24 hours feeling terrible for you and your family. I can only imagine your children and wife having to witness the assassination of their father and their husband. I had the privilege of attending a candlelight vigil for you. It was lovely. A group of conservatives were able to come together and pay our respects to our fallen hero. I originally chose to keep quiet on this because I couldn't believe it and I was still in shock. This event and the mixed opinions and the amount of misinformation online drove me to make this. Whether or not you agreed with Charlie's opinions, many of which were backed by statistical and empirical data, whether or not you supported his cause is not the point. You didn't have to like him, but you knew his name though. People don't realize how significant that was. I saw my social media pages flooded with hundreds of thousands of supporters. I also saw laugh reactions, memes, and then people outright celebrating his death. Disgusting and low IQ behavior. I've spoken to his supporters as well as his detractors, and these conversations went exactly as you'd expect. You cannot rationalize someone into a conclusion that they did not themselves arrive at. Some people simply cannot be rationalized with. All you can do is side with the truth. At least that's what I recommend. Gather the facts based upon the information that is consistent and form an educated opinion, not the other way around. What's really sad is foreigners are more aware and informed of American politics than Americans are.
I've come out here because I've watched Charlie Kirk for a couple of years and I really admire him. He's so knowledgeable, he's articulate, he's so good-humoured, he's been insulted by people and he just keeps coming back with such good arguments. Never insulting, I've never heard him be insulting, and I just love the man, and I think and his family is so beautiful. I really feel for his wife and little children, and it's just not the way to deal with differences of opinion, to shoot a man dead in the prime of his life.
I come here in solidarity and support for Charlie Kirk. I've been following Charlie since COVID times, and I do think he's a great man. He is a great influencer, and he challenges mind to think. So I do really love Charlie, and I'm very saddened for what happened to him.
And I think it's very important that people share views and respect each other's opinion, and I think Charlie Kirk epitomised that attitude and tried to put that through to people that he came in contact with, especially young ones. And a lot of the problems today is because there's two sides to every story, but both sides won't respect the other side's opinion.
They're on the outside looking in and have objective fact to base their opinions on. The man had a global following of millions of people. If you've ever studied the Holocaust to any extent, which was required by most American high schools, at least when I was there, there's a good chance you know the Nazis were radicalized by Adolf Hitler. He was a smooth-talking con man who got a vulnerable people to unite against a common enemy and convinced the populace that the Jews were the source of all their economic woes. I remember on a field trip to Washington, D.C. in the 8th grade. We visited quite a few places, and among them was the Holocaust Museum. As our tour guide showed us each exhibit, many of my classmates cried as they imagined the horrors and the tragedies that were committed against an entire group of people. They asked, how could someone do this to people? My mind went straight to Charlie Kirk's assassination. If you're celebrating Charlie's passing, guess what? You would have sided with the Nazis. Guys, this is how the Holocaust happened. When you're allowed to mudsling, demonize, and label your political opponents as Nazis, racists, fascists, white supremacists, without any sort of evidence, because everyone loves the truth and will search beyond Facebook memes for their information, it results in tragedy. Some radical will say, the world would be better off with one less racist, one less white supremacist, right? It will cause people to act against what or who they perceive as the enemy. Tyler Robinson was raised in a Republican household, but was officially registered as unaffiliated with any political party. However, after doing some basic fact-finding, I was able to find evidence that supported the fact that he'd been radicalized online via Discord and Reddit, many of the forums supporting left-wing ideology.
I went to school with this Tyler Robinson kid. I'll show y'all. That's him right there, Tyler Robinson. I'm not trying to clout chase, make this shit about me, but I'm not gonna say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. I don't know, I feel like if you were in high school around that same time, and even probably now, 2018, and then those kinds of kids, but that's exactly what he was. All I'm gonna say is this is the kind of shit that happens when you spend way too much time online, and all of a sudden your beliefs are all the way this way or all the way this way, and you do some dramatic shit to please these people that are not your friends. This internet shit is seriously no joke.
Also, his romantic partner was a trans man. Information is still coming out on whether or not his partner had anything to do with radicalizing him. It's not far off and would be a safe assumption in this case. The left will sit there and look you dead in the face and tell you that a gay man that's in a relationship with a trans man who had Antifa slogans engraved on the shell casings is a conservative MAGA Republican. You can't make this shit up. Things that the left has praised for over a decade at this point, love is love, men can be women, women can be men, embracing the LGBTQ community, legalizing same-sex marriages, are now suddenly attributed to right-wingers. The truth is the truth, that's until it doesn't fit the narrative anymore. And for the record, I am not anti-LGBTQ. That was to highlight the fact that this man's actions heavily align with someone who's most likely politically affiliated with the left. This is where you see the mental gymnastics they've become known for begin. When someone has demonized a political figure as an existential threat, this is what happens. People view the other side and their supporters as detrimental to their way of life. Charlie didn't attack you, he never called for violence against you. However, you accused him of exactly what you're guilty of and then assassinated him. Well, we need to sit down and have a conversation. Well, you killed the man who was willing to do just that. The First Amendment gives you the right to say what you think is true. It allows you to have whatever opinion you like. It does not, however, divorce you from the consequences of whatever you say. Many people celebrating Charlie Kirk's passing are finding out the hard way. Many are freaking out over losing their jobs because they found out the hard way that the First Amendment is a double-edged sword. You have a right to say whatever you choose. Your employer also has the right to terminate your employment based on what you say, assuming that it doesn't align with company ethics. Even online. This just goes to show you how people believe that typing behind a screen grants them total immunity and there's no real world consequences. It's just Facebook, whatever. Could it be, somewhere in the universe, that Charlie's not a racist? Or any of those things? Could it be that you've taken all of your information from a 10-second clip and not the entire hour-long podcast that he made? No, of course not. That's not confirmation bias at all. When you try to silence your political opponents, all you've done is proven that you're afraid of what they might have to say. Misinformation is deadly, as this case has shown. You can't incite violence, directly or indirectly, and then come out after the fact and condemn the violence that you incited. Damage control doesn't work in this case because this cannot be undone. Many politicians on the left have come out and condemned this tragedy, but also many led the charge on labeling their political opponents to the point where this lie is repeated so often, misinformed people start parroting the lies and tragedy happens. To my recollection, there's only been one politician that I can remember that directly verbally defended his opponent's character. It was Senator John McCain defending Barack Obama because someone called his political opponent a Muslim lover and all kinds of other things. This was in 2008. I gave props to the senator for that. He said something along the lines of, "No, my political opponent is not any of those things. He's a great family man." Have you ever heard of the term black fatigue? The actual racist, the actual white supremacists, the ones who actually hate other races? This is what they're talking about. It's part of the reason black people remain an underclass in today's society, unless something changes. You can have all the facts, data, statistics, and video evidence laid right out in front of you, and you will still sit comfortably in your own self-righteousness. You don't want to be singled out for your race, but you will never miss the opportunity to make everything about your race. No one cares. Stop labeling everything black. This was not a race issue. yet you must inject race into every situation, even when it doesn't make sense. Maybe try taking a step back and look at things objectively and not give actual racists fuel for their hatred. Just confident, loud, and factually incorrect. Sad. I've read disgusting comments such as, oh, he hated single mothers, now his wife's a single mother. When Charleston White and other prominent black voices in the community bark and parrot racism at every single term, you gotta think, that's their job. These people are agents of chaos designed to ensure that you stay out of shape, uninformed, having a bunch of kids and then finding a husband after the fact, and blaming white people for all your problems. Remember, some things are equivalent, not necessarily equal. On a closing note, I want to end with a quote. If you hit a man in his face, in time his wounds will heal, and later on you can apologize to that man. If you steal his goods, later on you can return those goods, or you can repay him equal value. But if you kill, there is no later on. There's no way to repair it with that man. There's no way to make it right with him or his family. His life is gone forever. You never come back from that. That's OG Bobby Johnson, South Central, 1992. All Charlie did was hurt your feelings with uncomfortable facts. Once again, keep the Kirks in your prayers. Hopefully one day his detractors will see he was only trying to help them. I'll see you guys in the next video.